Mobility adapted? I am livid. The big question: would you buy to live, buy to let, or does Leeds need more investment before you even think about it? Right, let's have a butchers and see what I want. This is an auction property. Always check the legal pack as well as auction fees. You may have additional costs and other property problems. Today, we are viewing a leasehold flat on the ground floor, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. The on-street parking is free and there is no outside space with this property. From Leeds train station, it is an 11-minute drive, 24 minutes on the bus, 38-minute walk, and a 13-minute cycle. There is a tiny bit of storage and the EPC rating is D. The flat is 53 square meters and there is no buyer premium on this property. As we all know, landlords are selling their properties very aggressively at the moment, and it's causing a massive rental shortage. If you follow the channel, then you would know landlords doesn't just mean private landlords. That includes social housing landlords. A video of a housing association property review is linked at the end. This property is being sold by a social enterprise similar to a housing association. Don't know if they are selling their older stock and replacing with new stock. If the landlords are selling properties and not replacing it, this is a massive problem for social housing. I am livid. This property in particular is being sold because what is the percentage of stock they have that is mobility adapted? As you will see, the sockets are a certain height, the showers are a certain height, the flat is on the ground floor, etc. Is this social enterprise adapting other properties and at what cost? Or is the mobility adapted stock reducing? Why is this property even being sold? Does it need refurbishment works? Are there asbestos problems, for example? This flat was occupied very recently. The previous occupant was evicted and the notice is still on the door. I feel like properties like this should stay within social housing and not be sold. If you are a person that needs a mobility adapted property, you're already waiting longer for a suitable property as it is. With the Renters' Rights Act that kicked in on the 1st of May 2026, you need to be almost perfect to get a property via a private landlord. So the social housing waiting list is about to double. Requiring a particular property is going to get 50 times harder. Just imagine this property is sold and was bought by a private landlord. Now, once upon a time, there would have been Tony, for example, with 2 children that needs a house. Tony's gone down to the pub to drown their sorrows. Dave, the pub owner, has a vacant 2-bed house. Dave and Tony get talking. The next day, Tony views the house, and the day after, Tony moves in. The level of trust landlords had 15 years ago, there is not a cat in hell's chance you will find that in 2026. Private landlords still want to own property, they just don't want tenants anymore. It's too risky. On the channel, we do look at numbers for short-term stays. I don't feel like this property is good for a short-term stay. The other alternative would be to lease the property to a company. There are various companies around, and these companies house their clients who would live in the flat. The type of clients these companies have are asylum seekers, ex-convicts, homeless people who are sleeping on the streets, the council for emergency accommodation, etc. And with some councils, buckle up, you're not going to like what I have to say, private landlords can charge per night. So this is the housing cycle in 2026. Private landlords are done. fed up, had enough, and prior to the 1st of May 2026, issuing Section 21s like crazy. A lot of tenants have been living in their properties 5, 10, 15 years without the landlords raising the rent. A lot of tenants who have been evicted can no longer afford their local area as the rents have increased for £500-600 and they can't afford the increased rent. So what do people do? Tenants head straight for the local council, and for those tenants where the council is obliged to help them, tenants are placed in emergency or temporary accommodation, which could be a hotel or a property from a private landlord. So instead of the landlord charging, for example, £750 per month, the landlord can now charge £75 per night. The rental sector in England is an utter mess. For leasehold properties, first thing, our priority question: is the development EWS1 compliant? I don't think it needs it, but double check with your solicitors. A new lease will be created on completion for 990 years. Because the lease is new, there is no ground rent. There is no service charge. Of course there is, but it's now called an estate charge, and the estate charge is £2,000 for the year. I have no comment. Question: have any remediation works on the building been proposed or carried out? There is no information in the legals, so you would need to ask prior to making an offer. Need to ask and double check, but just assuming the block managers are the social enterprise. On the outlook, a tenant could move into the property straight away. Obviously it needs a deep clean, but would you leave it as it is or replace the bathroom, drop the socket heights, etc.? Channel first time buyers, we out. The flat is guided at £45,000 and there is only £40,000 in the kitty. Landlords, we are up north. Do you think you will get a 10% gross yield on this property? Let's run through the purchase cost. This is probably a cash purchase, so that's £45,000. Auctioneer fee is £2,100 including VAT. Let's be real, you're probably not going to get a surveyor. Solicitors would cost roughly £1,500 including VAT for conveyancing. Stamp duty is £2,250. Contingency money is £2,000. Insurance at £500. The cost to collect the keys is £53,350. Plus £150 for a locksmith to change the locks. Looking at the numbers for monthly ongoing costs, ground rent and service charge is £166.66. Letting agents fees, roughly about £100 including VAT. Maintenance £125. The cost is £391.66. Looking at rentals, what are one beds in the local area on the market for? There's no mobility adapted properties to look for a comparison, but we'll just look in general. Looking at sales, what are one beds in the local area on the market for? There is no mobility adapted properties to look for direct comparisons, but let's just have a look in general. What can we learn from this? Nothing we don't already know. The rental sector is in a mess, and I don't feel like mobility adapted properties should be sold. Refurbished, yes, but not completely taken out of social housing stock. Councils are selling, housing associations are selling, social enterprises are selling, private landlords are selling, and I already have spoken about this. What do long-term renters do? Video linked at the end. And even worse, what do long-term renters do when they can't afford private and they can't get social housing? There is no property sales history. Let's see if the property sold.